Here is the western facing hillside of our property. It's the last remaining part of the property that really hasn't had any landscaping done. At this point, only mulch has been added. Here's a drone footage showing most of the property has been done with landscaping. Here's a different angle, and that western facing lot is a lot of good quality land that just needs to be set up and landscaped. So here's the rendering, and basically the red line represents a walking path along the bottom side, which is already in there, and then along the far western side of the yard. And the green dots represent fruit trees that would be inside of this landscaping in the slope. So basically, the project at this point is to just excavate out the hillside, not a crazy amount of excavation, but just one bucket full at a time, getting soil and dirt out. And at this point, the process has been to shovel it either up into the hillside or to just carry the bucket loads out into different areas of the landscaping that could use a little bit more fill dirt. So I had a few remaining large rocks from an earlier project, and then a couple of really big rocks. So for the really big rocks, what I did is I took a pallet and I just bought some wheels at a big box store and attached them to the pallet to make myself a little dolly. And then sort of just manhandled a few of the really big rocks onto this dolly. And luckily it was downhill. This is a pretty steep slope on the road here. So it was fairly easy to roll them down and just control the roll. So I did that I had 2 or 3 pretty big rocks that would have been a real challenge to roll down. But this made actually pretty light work of it. It was just a matter of rolling them and manhandling them around. So here is, after the first few days of work, this is the original stacked path that I had done. And then this is coming around the curve to the very bottom western side of the lot. And this is the work that I had done on that first couple of days. So excavating out. So here's the neat thing. The property to the very left of me, they built this wall. So the wall was not in the first pictures, the first day. And then they gave me all of their leftover rocks from their build. So it's a lot of rocks. I think it's a lot more than it actually looks like. This is after a few days of moving the rocks. That's what was left. But basically what I wanted to do and what I needed to do was try to clear the rocks out of that hillside because I need to excavate the hillside. So I carried the rocks, separated them out, took the big rocks, and basically brought them back up the hill. So the other reason for not leaving the rocks piled in the front of the house here is it's against HOA rules. So I'm trying to get them in a more discreet area to just so it's not something that looks bad for the neighborhood. I'll eventually have to move all those rocks back down to build a retaining wall in this area here. So at this point, I've moved about almost all the rocks. Some of the rocks I put up here as a wall against the hibiscus. These were some of the smaller rocks. And then behind those palm trees there, I did a dry stack wall, which you'll see in a second. So here is a dry stack wall that that's going to be somewhat temporary. And I'll do this all the way along the edge, planting palm trees. And then eventually those rocks will go to the right-hand side and be an actual retaining wall up against the hillside. But here's one final view of the project so far. And I hope you're enjoying it, and please tune in again.